Hello and welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Friday the 14th of June 2024 and this evening it's Team 2 who are bringing you the news from around the county which is taken with permission from this week's Courier. I'm Rebecca and also reading for us tonight are Jane, Joanne and Sarah. Andrew's in charge of the recording and editing tonight as Diane has another commitment. Thanks, Andrew. We all very much appreciate it. Since we last recorded, we are well into the gala day season, and so far some lucky West Lothian towns and villages have had fine weather. But it's not looking too promising for Armadale and others tomorrow. Still, I live in hope we'll get a bit of sunshine. I don't think there's anything in the postbag, so we'll go on with the news.
Family heartbroken by tragedy. Mum dies in hospital as man is arrested following disturbance. A 42-year-old mum has tragically died following a disturbance at a house in Broxburn this week. Police were called to a property in the Kunigar Road area around 7:55 p.m. on Sunday. Chitsitko Veronica Chinyanga from Zimbabwe was taken to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh but sadly died later. A 46-year-old man, Kasikai Chinyanga of Broxburn, was arrested and charged in connection with her death. He appeared at Livingston Sheriff Court on Tuesday, charged with murder. He made no plea and was remanded in custody and is expected to make a second court appearance in connection with this case within 8 days. Veronica's family released a statement through Police Scotland saying she'll be sorely missed by everyone who knew her. They said Veronica was a much-loved mum, sister, niece and mother to all who will be missed dearly by many. We would ask that we are given privacy to come to terms with our loss at this time. Officers were called to a report of a disturbance on Kunigar Road around 7:55 p.m. on Sunday, June the 9th. The Scottish Ambulance Service said they had sent out an ambulance, a trauma team and special operations after receiving the call at 8:02 p.m. and they arrived at the scene by 8:11 p.m. The area was cordoned off by police as they carried out an investigation to establish the full circumstances. Detective Chief Inspector Craig Higgins said, "Our thoughts are with the family and friends of the woman who died, and we'll do all we can to support them at this very difficult time. I'd like to thank the local community for their help and patience while inquiries are carried out. There will be a continued police presence in this area, but I want to reassure everyone this is an isolated incident and there is no wider risk to the public. However, anyone who does have concerns can speak to officers."
We are sporting success despite concrete chaos. School excels in PE challenges amid crumbling facilities. A West Lothian school that has been severely affected by the crumbling concrete crisis is excelling despite the enormous challenges staff and pupils have faced. In August 2023, wrack was discovered at St Kentigern's Academy in Blackburn, and since then, the school's PE department has had 0 indoor facilities on site, except from a small multi-purpose temporary unit built later that year. Despite these challenges, the PE team has had to be versatile in their delivery of the subject and effectively design the PE curriculum to ensure participation in the subject and wider physical activity. The staff and pupils are now reaping the rewards of their hard work and dedication. These include Miss Down's team of 22 girls who competed at the annual West Lothian Gymnastics competition in February 2024, where they won the following: Level 4 team, gold, for the 3rd year in a row, Sophie Corrigan, S6, Niamh Llewellyn, S5, and Niamh McCarran, S2. Level 3 team, gold, Jill Russell, S4, Ava Dawson, S2, and Daisy McClung, S1. Level 1 team, silver and qualification for the Scottish Championships, Amit Davidov, Rotem Davidov, Jessica Dunnigan and Ava Wynne, all S1. Level 4 individual, gold, Niamh Llewellyn for the second year in a row. Level 4 individual, silver, Niamh McCarran. Level 3 individual, gold, Ava Dawson. PE and dance teacher Miss Downs said, "We are delighted we have been able to present pupils with opportunities, despite the challenges faced, and are proud of their achievements." The success of the St Kent's gymnasts shines even brighter as they were challenged to develop floor routines in limited spaces, and for some students, they only had a 40-minute vaulting session prior to the competition to learn complex movements. The girls displayed strong resilience and dedication to their school, and some of the girls said that it was the highlight of their school year competing at this wonderful event run by West Lothian Schools coordinators. The St Kent's PE department have also organised for trips to Manchester City FC matches, charity fundraisers, sports days, and are looking forward to their dance showcase later in June and continuing to celebrate the sporting successes of their talented students.
I raced for my life and I won. Milestone as Mum launches event. A West Lothian mum who discovered she had cancer on her birthday marked the milestone of being 10 years clear of the disease by launching Race for Life in Scotland's capital. It was a special moment as fitness instructor Jill McGregor kicked off Cancer Research UK's Race for Life by sounding the horn to send more than 1,300 people on their way at the event at Holyrood Park. More than £147,000 was raised in total at Race for Life Edinburgh, vital funds which will enable scientists to find new ways to prevent, diagnose and treat cancer, helping to save more lives. Every year, around 34,600 people are diagnosed with cancer in Scotland. Jill from Uphall endured surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy after being diagnosed with breast cancer on November 28, 2013. Her treatment finished in June 2014, and now back to full fitness, she runs 14 Glow exercise classes across Edinburgh every week. She later had the words "Live, Love, Laugh" tattooed on her chest, close to where she had the cancer surgery, which saved her life. Jill, now 58, said, "It was some birthday present to find out I had cancer, but once there was a treatment plan in place, I knew more about what lay ahead and I felt more in control. I think it's so important that cancer is detected early. No matter how insignificant a symptom may seem, if it doesn't go away, it's important to speak to your doctor." It's a privilege to start Race for Life Edinburgh in honour of everyone going through cancer right now. It felt important to push the boundaries to celebrate 10 years of being cancer-free. Jill's Race for Life VIP starter duties came at the end of several months of activities organised to mark 10 years since completing cancer treatment. In April this year, Jill raised an incredible £5,911 for Cancer Research UK by completing the Paris Marathon. And in May, she jetted off to San Francisco and Las Vegas with her husband Colin, 58, and son Cameron, 24, for a holiday of a lifetime. Cancer Research's UK Race for Life, in partnership with headline sponsor Standard Life, which is part of the Phoenix Group, is an inspiring series of 3K, 5K, 10K, Pretty Muddy and Pretty Muddy Kids events, which raises millions of pounds every year to help beat cancer by funding crucial research. Now organisers of Race for Life Edinburgh are sending a heartfelt message of thanks to everyone who put their best feet forward, as well as their supporters, and they're appealing for people to make every step count by paying in sponsorship money as soon as possible. Lisa Adams, Cancer Research UK's spokeswoman in Scotland, said, "We are incredibly grateful to everyone who took part in Race for Life Edinburgh. We are proud that Race for Life has already helped double survival rates in the UK. It was a fantastic day at Race for Life Edinburgh, full of emotion, courage, tears, laughter and hope as people celebrated the lives of those dear to them who had survived cancer and remembered loved ones lost. Now we're asking everyone who took part to return the money they've raised as soon as possible. Funds raised, whether it's £10 or £100, will help scientists find new ways to prevent, diagnose and treat cancer. Race for Life events, which take place across Scotland, are open to all ages and abilities. It includes events this June in everywhere from Aberdeen to Edinburgh to Falkirk to Dundee. Entries are still open for Pretty Muddy, a 5k mud-splattered obstacle course, with an event for adults and a separate event for children, which is at the Meadows on Sunday 23rd of June. And there's a super picture of Jill, obviously very, very happy that she's cancer-free and been able to start the Race for Life thing. And there's a wee footnote at the bottom that said, I felt it was important to push the boundaries to celebrate 10 years of being cancer-free.
D-Day heroes will not be forgotten. Community marks the 80th anniversary of landings, and this article is by Debbie Hall. West Lothian paused last week to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Events were held around the county to mark the landmark anniversary. A beacon was lit at B. Craig's Country Park. Members of the public joined invited guests for the ceremony last Thursday as West Lothian joined numerous other tributes across the UK and in France to honour the brave soldiers who risked their lives for freedom and peace. The Bathgate Regal Theatre was also packed out for a very special ASA Scotland D-Day 80th commemoration. The event was organised by the charity and hosted by ASA Scotland Chairman Councillor Harry Cartmill. West Lothian Deputy Lord Lieutenant Caroline McLachlan was a special guest and enjoyed the evening. The guest speaker was Bob Kemp, CBE. He explained the D-Day Operation Overlord to the young people and public. ASA Scotland Forces sweetheart Georgina Mackenzie sang Vera Lynn songs which the audience loved. Chairman Councillor Harry Cartmill praised Bulbardy Primary, Simpson Primary and Bathgate Academy pupils, saying their singing and instrumentals were fantastic. He said the Whitburn Brass Band were absolutely outstanding. The music selection was poignant and beautifully played. Bathgate Army cadets took part and did a first-class job reciting poems. ASA Scotland Honorary Piper Kevin McLean played a tribute, Highland Laddie, to Bill Millen and told those present Bill's life story. Kevin said, I wanted everyone to understand the bravery of Scotland's most famous and heroic pipers. President of ASA Scotland, Bailey Buchanan, added, we must never forget, freedom is not free, we need world peace. The staff at Bathgate Regal Theatre were brilliant and ensured the evenings went to plan. Meanwhile, the members of Brothers in Arms MCC visited 80 war memorials on Saturday around West Lothian and beyond to pay their respects, followed by a rock night and a few well-earned beers. They were raising money for the Military V Cancer Charity, and there is a really nice photograph of the band of brothers. Members of Brothers in Arms MCC visited 80 war memorials, and they're holding up a really lovely commemorative flag with 80 years D-Day.
Marathon mum Lynn is 6-star medal winner. Ambulance worker completes 6 major world runs. An article by Lynn Bow. A West Lothian paramedic has received a prestigious medal after completing 6 of the world's major marathons in the past 6 years. Lynn Bow, a Scottish Ambulance Service SAS ambulance technician based at Livingston, finished the Abbott World Marathon Majors Challenge, receiving the 6-star medal for her impressive feats. The goal is to complete 6 world marathons, with Lynn of Uphall finishing her 6th in March by completing the Tokyo event. She has also completed events in Berlin, London, Chicago, Boston, and New York. Lynn said, I applied for the London Marathon on the off chance I would be accepted, and it was a first-time attempt. After running London, I heard about the Abbott World Major Marathon Challenge. This is a tough challenge to complete, as Boston is a marathon you must qualify for time-wise, hence why this is a challenge is so prestigious. I completed this challenge in March 2024, finishing in Tokyo. As of May this year, only 1,574 people in the whole of the UK have achieved this medal. Lynn, a mum of two who joined the service 4 years ago, said she began running in 2015 when she started the Couch to 5K after having a baby. She added, my favourite marathon by far was Tokyo because it was just such a wonderful and interesting place to visit. The food and the culture was outstanding. So much to see and do there, and the weather was perfect. The big difference between them all would have to be the time difference and how well you're accustomed to it before the run. It's an amazing way to see parts of the world you maybe wouldn't visit if you weren't running. All the major marathons have 50,000 plus runners, so they are very busy with people from all over the world and all different age groups. She said her next goal was to run from Glasgow to Edinburgh, 57 miles along the canal within 15 hours, which will be the furthest distance she has ever ran. Her bucket list marathon would be to run the Comrades Marathon in South Africa. SAF's Chief Executive Michael Dixon said, well done to Lynn for achieving the fantastic milestone of 6 of the world's toughest marathons. Amazing dedication from one of our staff members, and we wish her all the very best in her next goal of running Glasgow to Edinburgh. And there is a picture of an extremely happy Lynn standing beside the water in Tokyo, and she's wearing a white, it looks like a pullover. It's like a white, almost, she's wearing a flag with all the different colours on it. She's got both her arms held out horizontally at her sides, and all the medals that she's earned are hanging from her arms, so you can see the different colours of the ribbon and the different styles of the medals. And there is another picture of a very, very happy Lynn at the end point of one of the marathons where she's wearing all the medals round her neck, and quite rightly she's beaming from ear to ear.
We are changing lives at the Larder by Debbie Hull. Put simply, the Larder transforms lives. Founded in 2010, the West Lothian-based charity fights poverty and hunger with dignity, providing food support training and fair work opportunities to help local people transition from surviving to thriving. Since its launch, the organisation has helped more than 4,000 people access training, delivered more than 200,000 meals to those in West Lothian experiencing food insecurity, and employs 36 local people. It runs a bespoke training academy, 2 thriving community shops, an artisan bakery, and 2 community cafes, offering their own freshly baked sweet and savoury products in Broxburn, Livingston and Blackburn. Through the academy, the charity provides vital training on employability, life skills and health and well-being, alongside cooking classes, barista qualifications and SQA qualifications. This all helps to build confidence and prepare and equip young people and adults for the world of work. As a social enterprise, the Larder makes a valuable contribution to the local economy. All proceeds are reinvested into the sustainability and ongoing development of their training programs and food poverty projects. The charity engages with and supports some of the most disadvantaged young people, providing a positive pathway, an opportunity for social interaction and community cohesion, helping to break the cycle of poverty for years to come. It also supports parents to work for the first time, return to work, or develop skills in work. All of this sits within a framework of lifting young people and adults out of poverty through fair work. Foundation Scotland has proudly supported the Larder for over 12 years, making their first award in 2012. Since then, the Larder has received 6 further social investment awards from Foundation Scotland, totalling over £395,000. Most recently, they were awarded £150,000 to support the organisation's continued growth. Further to this, the Larder also receives crucial funding towards the CEO salary costs from the David and Averill MacDonald Fund, managed by Foundation Scotland. Angela Moohan, CEO of the Larder, said, "The support we've received from Foundation Scotland from the very beginning of our journey at the Larder has been critical to our growth as an organisation and ultimately to our mission of helping transform local lives. We set up the charity to help practically tackle rising youth unemployment in West Lothian, and we know we've changed lives. But we couldn't have achieved this level of success without the partnership with Foundation Scotland. It's not just about money, it's the guidance, understanding, and above all else, their belief in our mission, which has helped us to continue to grow and develop our support at a time when our services have never been needed more. Through the pandemic, and now the cost of living crisis, we have seen growing numbers of local people struggle with rising costs, and we've put support in place so that everyone can have good food with dignity. Despite the economic crisis, we have grown our enterprise. We have opened a thriving new community cafe, launched a new training and skills academy, and we proudly continue to create employment opportunities, helping to transform local lives and our communities overall. All our proceeds stay in the West Lothian area and are used to sustain and grow our services so that everyone has the chance to reach their true potential. Ali Kennedy, Social Investment Executive with Foundation Scotland, said, "The growth we've witnessed from the Larder across the last decade has been tremendous. They epitomise the definition of a successful social enterprise. Through their passion, determination, local knowledge and astute business sense, they've steadily grown their support into the thriving organisation it is today." And the top of the article has a photograph of 5 members of the Larder in front of a very swish-looking cafe counter, and they're all displaying their various products.
Crashes at Blackspot amid fear for safety. Harburn Road concerns, and this is an article by Stuart Somerville. More problems at a notorious West Lothian accident Blackspot have prompted councillors to ask staff to consider a road safety measures on the B roads. The plea followed the latest accident last month in a blind bend in the village of Harburn, the second in a month. There have also been calls for updates on a long-running project to build safer footpaths around the island village of Stonyburn, as it is known to local campaigners, where locals say they have no safe pedestrian or cycle access to local facilities. At the recent Vaulthouse and Breich Valley Local Area Committee, a representative of West Calder and Harburn Community Council said, "There was a car smash at the railway bridge at Harburn last night. It was the umpteenth time, and it's lucky there has been no fatalities." Is there anything in the locality plans to introduce accident measures or promote road safety? It's something that is going to become a greater problem and a greater problem. There was another serious accident in mid-April at the same site when the 31-year-old driver of an Audi was taken to hospital after a crash. The narrow B7008 road links West Calder to the Lang Wang, the main Edinburgh to Ayr A70 road, which skirts the Pentlands. The road through the village passes the Harburn Golf Club car park before crossing a blind bridge over the railway lines onto an almost 90-degree bend. Chairing the committee, Councillor Craig Meek said, "I'm aware there's been quite a few accidents in that one area. I think it would be good for a report to be brought back on safety measures that can be considered in that area." Committee Officer Douglas Benson said, "I'd be happy to take that back to colleagues." Provost Cathy Muldoon also asked for updates on the plans to link Stonyburn to Falthouse with a new footpath and cycleway, and also plans for a path from the village to Whitburn. The council has been actively working with Sustrans on proposals to build a safe route to Falthouse for the past few years. Money has been secured to pay for the design of a bridge to safely cross the A706 and provide a safe, traffic-free route. Falthouse is the nearest village with shops and also the medical practice serving Stonyburn. Campaigners have long fought for better pedestrian access out of the village. Almost in the geographic centre of the county, there are no footpaths out the village and few buses. It's difficult to walk anywhere because of the danger on the roads. Access to the village is along the narrow twisting B7015, which is lined for most of its western length with dense foliage. Officers agreed to provide an update to the local area committee, which next meets after the summer recess on the 10th of September.
Holiday Village Plan rejected by the council. Plans to build a holiday village of lodges on the fringe of the Pentland Hills in West Lothian have been rejected because of the density of the development. Councillors upheld a decision by planners over concerns that the 20 timber frame lodges in the grounds of Ormiston House in Kirknewton would constitute substantial development in open countryside. The latest proposals for a development had cut the original number of lodges down from 30, but planners still felt that the site would look urban, and a councillor described it as a small village. While some had no objections in principle to the plan from a tourism development point of view, there were concerns that objections in principle by national bodies such as SEPA over flooding fears had not been addressed in the paperwork presented to councillors. The local community council had been among original objectors to the plans, known as the paddocks for tourist lodges. The plans were lodged by L. Crombie of Inverleith Gardens, Edinburgh, in August last year, but refused by a West Lothian planning officer in January. Following a site visit on Wednesday morning to the grazing fields on the high, open country south of East Calder, councillors agreed with that decision. Papers from planning officers said the proposals for the holiday chalets would create a sense of urbanisation within a countryside setting which is currently 2 grazing fields. The report said the chalets would result in a tightly packed development that does not retain a sense of openness provided by the existing rough pasture, nor would the development integrate well with the rural character of the area. Now we're going to take a short break to bring you the intimations.
And we have the deaths. Smith Hugh Glover, 7/7/1929 to 3/6/2024. Peacefully at home on Monday, the 3rd of June 2024. Hugh, aged 94 years. Our beloved husband, dad, stepdad, granddad and great-granddad. A funeral service will take place on Monday, the 17th of June 2024 in West Lothian Crematorium, Livingston at 11 a.m, to which all friends are respectfully invited. Donations in lieu of flowers can be made to the British Heart Foundation in honour of Hugh.
Watkins Bill, East Calder, passed away peacefully on June 6th, 2024, aged 75. Dad to Vicky, beloved granddad to Lewis and Lauren. Funeral will be held at West Lothian Crematorium Tuesday, June 25th at 11 a.m, to which all are welcome. Family flowers only, but donations, if desired, can be made to Tippett Hill House Hospital in Bill's memory.
Watson, Kenneth Donaldson, Armadale. Suddenly but peacefully, after a very short illness, on 4th of June 2024, Kenneth, aged 87 years, a beloved husband, dad, papa, and a dear friend to many, sadly missed by all.
And now we return to the news.
General Election and What You Can Expect by Stuart Somerville. Polling day is fast approaching. The country goes to the polls on July the 4th in a long-expected but still surprising election date, just as many families will be heading off on holidays. Here's a guide to what's going to happen. We also provide a current list of who is standing in the two constituencies which cover West Lothian. As with many constituencies, there has been a slight redraw in boundaries and a change of names. Livingston covers the largest south-eastern area of the country. Bathgate and Linlithgow, formerly Linlithgow and East Falkirk, takes in the northern and western areas of the county, including Bathgate, Armadale and Whitburn, as well as a part of eastern Falkirk. On the day, polling stations will open at 7 a.m. and close at 10 p.m. Registered voters will soon receive polling cards advising them of their polling stations. These are usually schools, churches or community buildings in the council wards, with around 8 to 10 per ward. A full list is available on westlothian.gov.uk GE24. The big difference in this general election is that voters will have to show photo ID to be able to vote. That and other changes mean that the traditional poll card voters receive beforehand will be replaced in this election by an A5 size letter explaining the new rules. The count for both West Lothian constituencies will start soon after at 10 p.m. in West Lothian College, Livingston. Candidates and their supporters can gather to observe the count. Unlike local council elections in which votes are now counted electronically, the general election relies on the traditional first-past-the-post system and an actual tally by hand of the voting papers. If you're on holiday when the election comes, there are options to vote before you go or have someone vote in your place, a proxy. However, there are a number of options available to voters to ensure they can still cast their vote even if they won't be in the country come July the 4th. Firstly, you need to be registered to vote. Registering to vote will mean you are on the electoral register and will be able to attend a polling station and vote in person. Anyone who is not registered to vote should visit www.gov.uk/register-to-vote or call the Lothian Electoral Registration Office on 0131 344 2500. The deadline for voter registration is midnight on Tuesday, June the 18th. Anyone who is registered to vote in this election can apply to vote by post. Applications for new postal votes, including postal proxy votes when someone else submits the postal vote on your behalf, or changes to the postal vote details, must be made by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 19th. Applications for changes to existing postal or proxy votes must be made by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 19th. You can now apply for a postal vote online at www.gov.uk/apply postal vote. The first day that a replacement for a lost or undelivered postal vote can be issued is Friday, June the 28th. If you will be away before that date, then consider whether you wish to appoint a proxy instead. A proxy vote is when you appoint a nominated person to vote on your behalf, either in person or by post. If you're already registered for a proxy vote but need to make changes to your details, then this must be done by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 26th. Applications for new proxy votes, except for emergencies, must also be made by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 26th. Applications for emergency proxy votes can be made until 5 p.m. on polling day, July the 4th. Applications for both postal and proxy votes can be made to the Electoral Registration Officer at www.lothian-vjb.gov.uk or by sending complete applications to 17A South Gyle Crescent, Edinburgh, EH12 9FL, or calling 0131 344 2500. And the candidates that have been confirmed for the general election, which is upcoming, are now announced here. In Livingston, the SNP's Hannah Burdell, previously elected in 2015, will again contend the seat. Also running are Damien Doran Timpson for the Conservatives, Gregor Poynton for Labour, Karen Lindsay, Liberal Democrat, Cameron Glasgow for the Scottish Green Party, Debbie Ewan for Alba Party, David McLennan, Reform UK, Danielle McLean, the Workers' Party of Britain. In the Bathgate and Linlithgow constituency, the SNP's Martin Day, who also served after 2015, is hoping to be returned, but also running in this constituency are Kirstine Sullivan, Labour and Cooperative, Sally Pattle, Liberal Democrat, Simon Jay, Scottish Green Party, John Hannah, Independence for Scotland Party, Stuart MacArthur, an Independent, Jamie McNamee, Reform UK, and Lynn Munro for the Scottish Conservative and Unionist Party.
Concern as incomes plummet for charities. West Lothian's charities have seen income drop by 19% in a year when demand for their work is relied on ever more by the public and local government. Charities spend £90 million a year operating in the county, with almost half that funding coming through the council and health providers. Income dropped from £110 million the year before to just £84 million last year. The bulk of funding comes from a variety of sources, all of which have seen demands grow as the pot of money shrinks. Alan McCloskey, the Chief Executive of the Voluntary Sector Gateway, VSG, the third sector umbrella group in the county, told councillors the falling income stream was a concern. Discussing the annual report of the VSG, he told councillors in a meeting of the Economy, Community Empowerment and Wealth Building Policy Development and Scrutiny Panel, the report captures the vital role and essential services provided by charities, social enterprises and community groups across West Lothian, as well as the incredible role played by volunteers. This is all set against the backdrop of the ongoing cost of living crisis. Of particular note and concern is the 19% drop in income experienced by the sector from the previous year, while costs have remained constant and demands on services have increased. The report highlights the size and scale of the third sector, both locally and nationally, along with case studies that pay testimony to the amazing difference small grassroots organisations are making to help those in most need. Many areas have seen increasing demand in the wake of the pandemic. A Scottish Government grant of £450,000 made each year to the VSG for community mental health projects has been met with bids of more than £1.5 million each year. During 2023 to 24, the VSG has continued to support the West Lothian Food Network and its members by providing independent governance support to the network. VSG receives and pays out funds on behalf of the Food Network in the interim until its own charitable status as a Scottish charitable incorporated organisation, is established as a legal registered entity and has its own bank account.
Council will review Borough Hall's loss-making report later in the year. A review of the loss-making Borough Halls in Linlithgow will not come back to councillors before the autumn. A report had been expected before councillors at this week meeting of the Economy, Community Empowerment and Wealth Building Policy Development and Scrutiny Panel, PDSP. But Deputy Chief Executive Dr. Elaine Cook confirmed to a meeting on Tuesday that a report on the building, which lost £77,000 in the last financial year, was still in preparation and would come later in the year. It will go to the Council's Corporate Policy and Resources PDSP. SNP Councillor Andrew Miller sought assurances that findings of the report would also be brought back to the Economy PDSP. He told the meeting it was first raised in this committee. It was agreed that the report would also be brought back to the Economy PDSP. Councillor Miller had backed proposals from Linlithgow's Lib Dem councillor Sally Pattle earlier this year for the report on the future of the Borough Halls to be discussed after the losses were first revealed in February. The building, which is owned by the council, is marketed as a wedding and events venue. There is a separate space which can be used as a gallery space and also a cafe.
Giving hope for the future. Former politician Angela Moohan threw off the shackles of party politics and cut the crime rate in her area. Angela Moohan was a Labour councillor on West Lothian Council for 5 years, but felt constrained by what she was able to do to bring about social change. Instead, she stepped down and used a social enterprise to fight poverty and hunger with dignity. Angela created the Larder in 2010 to provide food support, training and fair work opportunities to help local people transition from surviving to thriving. But through the charity's Youth Justice programme, she has tackled a real antisocial behaviour issue. 2 years ago, just after she quit politics to work for the Larder full-time, her programme team became aware of 12 boys from the Fauldhouse area, aged between 14 and 20, who had been largely absent from school, were constantly in trouble with the police, and were banned from every community facility and local shops. They would fight in the street, damage public property and attack buses and Scottish fire and rescue teams as they were responding to fires they had set. The Larder and partners intervened in July 2023. Angela said, "Where the boys went, we went. If the boys went into the wood, some of the team would go too, and they kept doing this evenings and weekends until they began to form a bond. The boys had experienced a variety of complex conditions or backgrounds, but with the Larder support and that of the Forestry Commission, the Fire Service, the police and local wildlife groups, they developed a summer programme and took part in a forest clean-up project, learned pond skimming, camped out in nature and built positive relationships. They also started to re-engage with education. Since the intervention, none of them has had any negative interaction with police, and the number of local fires fell from 151 to 7. All of the boys have some degree of qualification, with one on a work placement at a community centre from which she was previously banned. Angela worked tirelessly for the charity, but it was only when Foundation Scotland, a charity which gives a leg up to individuals and other charities by means of grants, got involved, that she was able to take a salary. She said, "We know we've changed lives, but we couldn't have achieved this level of success without the partnership with Foundation Scotland."
Fires deliberately set at demolished Bubbles site. Fire crews were called out twice to the former Bubbles swimming pool to tackle deliberate blazes at the site. The former Excite Livingston Leisure Centre was torn down at the end of last week, which attracted vandals who set 2 fires among the rubble. Fire crews were called at 4:27 p.m. on Sunday and mobilised 2 fire appliances to tackle the flames before leaving at 5:13 p.m. Police were also at the scene. It came after firefighters and police were called to the same site on Saturday night to a willful fire. Smoke could be seen billowing out of the building as the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service put out the blaze and police cordoned off the area to the public. The pool gym was closed last year and could now make way for a petrol station and drive-through restaurant. Livingston joined Armadale and Broxburn pools in closing down and cost-cutting measures by West Lothian Leisure. And there is an attached picture of a very sorry-looking site where you can see the demolition that has taken place and also where the fires have been. Very sad.
Right. This article is called Lowport Listening Proposal, but I think it should be Lowport Listing Proposal. Plans to list the Lowport Centre in Linlithgow due to its architectural significance and striking internal mural were set to be supported by West Lothian Council. Council planners were recommending that Historic Environmental Scotland's HES proposals to list the building containing the mural were supported by the Council Executive at their meeting on Tuesday, June 11th. HES has advised the Council that they are minded to Category B list the Lowport Centre, as it meets their criteria for buildings of special architectural or historic interest, which are major examples of a particular period, style or type. The Lowport Centre was opened by Lothian Regional Council in 1988 as a community outdoor education centre with residential facilities. The award-winning design of the building by distinguished post-war architectural practice Wheeler and Sprossen aimed to mix art and architecture, with a bespoke public mural as a key part of the central stairwell. Scottish artist James Cumming, who was regarded as one of the most talented and original artists practising in Scotland in the 20th century, was commissioned to produce the mural. His creation, The Community, A Festival of Time, depicts a theme of timeless community life within a colourful town setting.
Works end at Gorge. The Avon Gorge has now been reopened after 10 weeks. There are now 3-way temporary traffic lights in place at the junction to complete any remaining verge works and to install the permanent traffic lights from Monday, June 17th. The permanent junction with the new traffic lights will then be fully opened by Friday, June 21st. A council spokesperson thanked drivers for their patience, adding, West Lothian Council was successful in their application to Transport Scotland for funding approval to develop road safety improvement works at the junction between the A801 and the A706 Avon Gorge in West Lothian. The future works would involve the installation of traffic signals at this junction, located at the top of the Avon Gorge, to reduce casualties. But I think a lot more needs to be done even yet.
Warriors Forest Retreat. Go Wild Warriors are running a summer forest retreat in Beecraigs Country Park and will be running 2 sessions on behalf of the Ranger Service on Friday, July the 5th and Tuesday, August the 6th from 9:30 to 3 p.m. Let your child take a leap into the wild side, experiencing fun, adventure, opportunities, challenges and freedom to learn new skills and make new friends within the beauty of the woodland with Go Wild Warriors. For more information, visit the Go Wild Warriors Facebook page, facebook.com/Forest School71. And now we are going to take a break. Now we will start section 2, which contains some main news, Gallaudet news items and also sports news.
East Calder Gala, pictures by Eddie Anderson. Tilly takes the Gala Day crown. The growing community of East Calder had a fantastic day of the gala. The East Calder and District Gala Day was attended by hundreds of locals who stepped out to enjoy the parade and traditional crowning of this year's Queen, Tilly, by last year's Queen, Lacey. It was then back to the Gala Day Park for some fabulous food, music, entertainment and dancing. And there are some lovely pictures accompanying this article. There are it's all little girls, and they're wearing black sweatshirts, black leggings and their trainers. They look about 5 or 6 or 7, and it's a little dance school and they're doing a demonstration. And there is also a picture of 2 teenage girls, and they are doing the Highland Fling. But instead of a kilt, they're wearing red tartan trousers, which is very trendy. And there is a picture of the young queen having her crown placed upon her head, and she looks very happy. And there is a picture of, it looks like a taekwondo society group walking along holding their banner, and the kids look really excited, probably because it wasn't raining. So well done, East Calder, and I hope you had a nice day.
Taffickan Gala Day, pictures by Andrew West, and the article says the parade is a hit in the village. The historic village of Taffickan held its annual Gala Day at the weekend to the delight of locals. The parade wound its way around the village as Taffickan primary pupils and local groups entertained the crowds. After the traditional crowning ceremony, everyone was treated to lots of fantastic entertainment along with some great company. And there's about 7 photographs around this little article. There's one of children from Taffickan Primary School carrying the banner, the Gala Day banner, in front of a pipe band. There's a couple of pictures of P1s and 2s, I would imagine, fairies. And there's 3 or 4 pictures of boys and girls who are dressed up in knight's uniform, regalia, I suppose you'd call it. And I've just looked them up, and I think they represent the Knights Hospitallers of St John, which were based at Taffickan Primary in the 12th century.
And here we have Fald House Gala, and the pictures here are by Amy Todd. Cheers and smiles as Gracie crowned. It was a lovely day for Fald House Gala Day, and the local folk lined the streets to cheer on the children in their colourful costumes, kilts and dresses. And there was an extra special cheer for Gala Queen Gracie Brown and her champion Alfie Tonkin. Also enjoying their big day at the pageant were train bearers Brooke, Stewart and Leila Kelly, Harold Campbell-Young, ladies-in-waiting Niamh Mallon and Sophie Smith, maids of honour Ali McLaren, Ava Carr, Frankie Young, Ayla Aird and Shania Gordon, along with Rainbow Fairy Queen St John's, Taylor, Duncan and White Fairy Queen Fala Hill, Blake Swan. And again, there's a beautiful picture of Gracie and the royal retinue after she's been crowned. And then there's the usual little flower girls, one of them with her legs crossed and is obviously getting a bit bored by that time. And then we have St John's, the Baptist School, being led by a cutie wee dinosaur, and Fala Hill Primary School with very fit looking footballers. And then we have 3 little girls just dressed in fancy dress and out for a good day. And then the final picture is a lovely wee cutie about 2 years old in a beautiful pink frilly dress. And it was great that it was a nice day for them.
And this is Blackburn Gala Day, and the pictures are by Alex Todd. Royal couple in spotlight. Blackburn royalty turned out to enjoy the village's annual Gala Day. This year's Queen Rhys Welsh Newell and King Ty Sibbald enjoyed their moments in the spotlight when they were crowned on their big day. And hundreds of locals lined the streets to watch the parade and cheer on the bands and everyone on their floats. And there is a lovely photograph of the Queen. She's got a beautiful white dress, and she's wearing a purple cape and she's got a beautiful crown. It's a very nice crown indeed being placed on her head. There's a very colourful float, and it's a cartoon of Spider-Man, and the captions are pow and boom, and there's two men waving like mad, obviously, to the crowd. There's a Flower Queen float, the Queen of Hearts, and the Knaves, and it's nice to see wee boys on the float wearing their kilts, and very smart they look too. And there's another one, and it's the White Fairies, and of course these wee girls dressed with their white dresses and their wings are just lovely.
Livingston FC latest. Davy gets pro licence boost. Boss rubs shoulders with Barton and Johnson on course, by Paul Thompson. Livingston boss Davy Martindale says he's raring to go for the new season after earning his UEFA Pro licence alongside former Rangers player Joey Barton and European Cup winner Ronnie Johnson in Belfast. The 49-year-old was over in Northern Ireland to complete his coaching badges ahead of the new season and rubbed shoulders with some familiar faces as he aims to hone his skills to help the Lions seal an immediate return to the Premiership. And he hopes he has struck up some new contacts that can help him bring fresh faces to Armand Vale after making some new friendships. Among his colleagues on the course were former Manchester United defender Johnson, who played in the famous Miracle of Camp Nou in Barcelona when Sir Alex Ferguson's side stunned Bayern Munich in 1999, and outspoken ex-Rangers man Barton, someone Martindale reckons is misunderstood but should stay off social media. The Lions gaffer said, "When the season finished, I was in Belfast for a week doing my pro licence. Now that is out on the road, I am focusing on the next season now, and I'm looking forward to it. There's no reflecting on what happened last season. There is nothing I can do about what happened. It is all about what we do this season. That's taken me about 7 years to get there, and I have every licence you can do now." Joey Barton, Gary Dicker, Alex Bruce and Ronnie Johnson were all there. There were loads of familiar faces among the 20 of us on the course. I like Joey, I get on really well with him. He's a wee bit misunderstood, and obviously he needs to stay off Twitter, now X, but it was good. He is a really good guy, to be fair. Ronnie was great as well, speaking to a class of 99 guy who won the European Cup with Fergie was interesting. It was a really good group of boys, and it is good to bounce ideas off of these guys and learn from one another. It is good for contacts as well, educating yourself and making yourself better. It has opened up my network of contacts, which I hope will be beneficial to the football club in the long run. My previous coaching courses have helped us before. We had Odin Bailey on loan from Birmingham before, and that came through my relationship with Craig Gardiner, a coach with the Blues. So we'll see what happens. The Lions are making an early start to pre-season training with the club back in tomorrow, which is today, Friday, ahead of their first friendly against Alloa on June the 22nd. Martindale added, "The boys are back in on Friday, today, and we'll get a good session into the legs over the weekend, and we'll be back into our normal working week, and it won't be long until we start playing again."
Bradley leaves the Lions. Azaki set to be his next move by Paul Thompson. Winger Stephen Bradley has left Livingston after having his contract terminated by mutual consent, and the 22-year-old could be set to face his old side next season, with fellow championship side Hamilton Accies leading the race for his signature. Their Lanarkshire rivals are interested in securing Bradley's services for the forthcoming season, but there are some stumbling blocks in the way of a move as things stand. Last month, Bradley, who had a contract with the Lions running until May 31st, 2025, was placed on the transfer list at his own request at the end of the season following Livingston's relegation from the Premiership. A club statement announcing Bradley's exit read, "We can confirm that attacker Stephen Bradley has left the club. An agreement has been reached between the club and the player to terminate Stephen's existing contract and allow him to move on from the football club." Stephen joined the club from Hibernian in December 2022, having spent the year at League of Ireland Premiership side Dundalk. He would make 36 appearances for the Lions, scoring 3 times. We wish Stephen all the very best for the future.
Livy cricketers moving on up. And this article's by Andy McGilvray. Livingston Cricket Club moved up to 5th in the East Scotland Cricket Association ESCA Championship table with a 5-wicket win over Stuart's Melville 2 on Saturday. Bowling dominated the West Lothian side's win in what was a welcome success for the hosts after a sticky start this season. Livingston captain Ahmed Ali won the toss and chose to bowl, restricting Stuart Melville's to 120 runs in 40.4 overs, with 28 of those runs coming from extras. Pick of the bowlers was Faraz Hussain, who took 3 wickets while conceding 32 runs, while Adnan Ali, Faisal Khan and Imtaz Khan each picked up 2 wickets. Chasing just 129 runs, Livingston's batters started with positive intent, with some aggressive strikes from Imtaz Khan and Ahmed Bilal. Livingston comfortably chased the target in 32.4 overs for the loss of 5 wickets, with Omez Altaf finishing the innings not out for the second consecutive league game, this time scoring 44 runs. They travelled to Edinburgh South at Shedden Park in Kelso on Saturday, looking to climb further up the table. Meanwhile, Livingston 2s were knocked off the top of ESCA's Division 5 as they lost by 3 wickets at Melrose on Saturday. The visitors lost the toss and were put in to bat, first under bowling howling winds, and the top order crumbled. Shrey Awashde anchored the innings with a few elegant strokes, but wickets tumbled. Ross Mackenzie and Sajid Samuel, followed by Mackenzie and Umar Khan, mounted a rearguard action, but Livingston was restricted to a hard-fought 167 in 40 overs. Defending their modest target, Livingston struck again, dismissing Melrose's opener, and they worked hard. Melrose needed 40 runs from the last 6 overs, with their lower-order batsmen at the crease. However, Rory Lindsay unleashed a barrage of boundaries and sixes to finish them off, as they made 167. However, Rory Lindsay unleashed a barrage of boundaries and sixes to finish them off, as they made 168 for 7 in 38.2 overs in what was fiercely a competitive match. Livingston 2 now host Murrayfield Daffs 3 in their next outing at Dresselrig on Saturday. Livingston 3s got back on track with a 9-wicket win over Kirkbrae 2 in Division 6. Captain Asim Ghaffar won the toss and put Kirkbrae into bat, with them all out at 88 in 27.4 overs. In response, Livingston racked up 89.1 in 15.4 overs. Third place, Livingston 3 travelled to league leaders Morton 3 on Saturday. Livingston 4s had a tough day as Tranent and Port Vale 5 bowled them out in 86 in the final over for an 8-wicket win, having posted 87-2 in 21 overs. Livingston 4 will host Edinburgh 3 on Saturday. And there's a nice picture of the winning feeling of Livy's captain Ali, and then another action shot of high scorer Omez Altaf, who scored 44 runs while unbeaten for the second game in a row. And I now know why I don't follow cricket.
Alexander has a ball as he gets his revenge. Revenge certainly was sweet for one West Lothian cyclist. Linlithgow road racing cyclist Alexander Ball, Project 1 cycle team, took his maiden Scottish National Series win at the Straight and Struggle in Ayrshire at the weekend. In so doing, he took revenge on series leader Alex Lure's team Moonglue, who beat him the previous weekend in round 3. The 120-kilometre race takes on a chilly 9-mile circuit, which is repeated 8 times, with the finish line at the top of a 3-kilometre climb. Ball was the sole Project 1 rider, so had to have his wits about him to combat the superior firepower of the bigger teams. An early break stretched a lead to 1 minute until Ball bridged across with 8 other riders to create what would be the winning break of the day. A 12-strong group of riders worked hard to establish a 3-minute lead on the peloton behind. As the race advanced to the finale, a flurry of action in the front group culminated in Ball launching a powerful attack that stretched to a 50-second lead. Eventually reeled in by the chasers, Ball was nevertheless pleased to see the group had been significantly reduced to just 7 after the place got too hot for some of the riders. Ball said, "After my attack, I was disappointed to be pulled back by the lead group, but I soon realised my efforts were not in vain because I'd broken the backs of the bigger teams." The group then stayed intact until the final leg-sapping climb. Ball rode hard to slim the group further and put Lures in the back foot. In the last 200 metres, the Linlithgow rider launched his devastating sprint first, gapped the Moonglue rider and held on to first as they both lunged for the line. "I had brilliant legs all day, to be honest," explained Ball as he spoke to the British Continental after the race. "I tried to make it hard up to the finish by putting in a few digs. It came down to a sprint and I knew I had to kick first before Alex Lures this time around, so I went quite early, but luckily managed to hold everyone off. I'm really chuffed. It's my first National B win." And there is a photograph of him just managing to cross the finishing line at the top of the hill.
Potter leaves Hamilton for Livingston role. Hamilton Accies goalkeeper coach Brian Potter has left the club, with championship rivals Livingston expected to be his next destination. The 47-year-old, who had a spell on the books as a player at New Douglas Park between 2008 and 2011, and was also part of Raith Rovers League Cup winning squad that sunk Celtic in 1994, has been a familiar face around the club, having served under several managers during his time in South Lanarkshire, including Billy Reid, Martin Canning, Brian Rice, Stuart Taylor and current boss John Rankin. However, Potter has now called time on his spell to seek a fresh challenge, leaving Accies on the hunt for a new coach. His former boss, Brian Rice, is now assistant at Livingston, who are looking for a new goalie coach themselves following Gary Malley's departure last week, and it is understood that is where his future lies. A statement from Accies read, "Our popular and long-serving goalie coach Brian Potter has said he is moving on. He has had 2 spells with us, totalling 14 seasons since 2007, and played once at Dundee in 2008. He oversaw all academy keepers as well as the first team, and he goes with our thanks and good wishes."
A right disaster in title defence. Peter Wright's defence of the Nordic Darts Masters ended with a humiliating first-round defeat to Swede Johan Engström last week. Livingston thrower Wright was the 2023 champion in Copenhagen, but was humbled in a final leg decider against the minnow, who is ranked 103 in the World Federation Darts. Wright was 5-3 up and primed to advance, but lost the last 3 legs to go down 6-5. With Luke Littler and Michael van Gerven not playing, World number 1 Luke Humphreys was the star attraction, but it was Gawain Price who took the 2024 title, defeating Rob Cross 8-5 in the final. Unfortunately for Wright, who has had a very difficult season, things didn't get any better on Tuesday when he suffered yet another early exit. He was competing at Players' Championship 11 and was one of 3 big names to fall in the second round in Germany, joining Michael Smith and Stephen Bunting on the flight home. Snakebite lost 6-3 to Mervyn King.
Monarchs on form to edge out Oxford. Stellar Edinburgh Monarchs forced their way into a 46-44 result over Oxford to take their first championship win this season in an enthralling match on Friday. Monarchs took the lead in Heat 3 and were never behind, but no more than 4 points ahead at any point. However, they held their nerve in 2 titanic heats, 13 and 15, against the mighty Sam Masters Scott Nicholls duo to take the points. Last heat hero was Josh Pickering with an incredible last to first burst, but still credit also goes to Justin Sedgman, who made the start in that finale and prevented Masters and Nicholls getting ahead for what might have been a match-winning 5-1. Team manager Alex Hartness said, "A bit too tight for my liking, though it was always going to be tight. I was certainly happy with the determination the team showed throughout the side from 1 to 7. Paco Castagna kept this excellent form going. Kai Thompson and Lassie Fredriksson won heats when it mattered, and Sedgy certainly played a full part in that last race. An incredible ride by Josh." Monarchs travel to Redcar Bears at Echo Arena on Friday with a 7:30pm start.
SPFL lands a new title sponsor. SPFL bosses have confirmed a record-breaking 5-year deal with William Hill, which will be the title sponsor of all 4 leagues. The major UK company will also become official betting partner of the SPFL. William Hill and the SPFL have partnered with Epic Global Solutions to launch a multi-year programme on gambling harm awareness across Scottish football for players, staff and supporters. The leagues will now be rebranded William Hill, taking over from car sales firm Cinch. SPFL Chief Executive Neil Doncaster said, "William Hill is a name long associated with Scottish football, and we are enormously excited to have reached a long-term, record-breaking agreement with our new title sponsors. This is tremendous news for our clubs and their fans, for the profile of the league, and for Scottish football in general. In addition to the sponsorship with William Hill, our pioneering gambling harm awareness programme with Epic will help to educate the communities across the 42 SPFL clubs on gambling harm prevention. Everyone at the SPFL is looking forward to working with William Hill to promote the passion, drama and excitement of the league and all its 42 clubs over the next 5 seasons, as well as the rollout of our programme with Epic. I'd also like to say a sincere thanks to Cinch for its extremely positive contribution to Scottish football in the past 3 years and wish them and their management team the very best for the future."
Action replay, pictures from our sporting past, Eurozone. From Van Basten to Golden Goal winners, we look back at the thrilling story of the Euros ahead of the kick-off in Germany on June the 14th. 1960, Cold War winners, the Soviet Union won the first version of the tournament. The first version of the competition was named the European Nations Cup and held in France. The finals featured just 4 teams after 17 teams competed to reach the main event, which started at the semi-final stage. The Soviet Union were the first winners after a 2-1 extra-time win over Yugoslavia. 1964. Spain hosted the second tournament. It followed the same format as the first edition, although this time 29 teams battled it out to reach the finals, which again started with the semis. Spain won the trophy after a 2-1 win over defending champions, the Soviet Union. 1968, the tournament was renamed the European Championship and was won by hosts Italy. The qualifying process was changed to include a group stage, with the 8 group winners progressing to 2-legged home and away quarter-finals. The final tournament again started with semis, with Italy seeing off Yugoslavia after a replay. 1972, the same format was used for the 4th European Championship in Belgium. The Belgians were only picked as hosts after the qualifying round, as rival candidates England and Italy didn't make the last 4. West Germany triumphed, a 3-0 win over the Soviet Union. 1976, held in Yugoslavia, this was the last tournament featuring a 4-team final tournament for which the hosts had to qualify. Czechoslovakia won the title thanks to a 5-3 in penalties triumph over West Germany. The Panenka penalty was born in this tournament after Antonin Panenka's winning spot kick. 1980. 8 teams qualified for the finals, which were held in Italy. The teams were split into 2 groups of 4, the winners meeting in the final and runners-up in a playoff. West Germany claimed their second title with a 2-1 win over Belgium. 1984. France pipped Germany to host the tournament for the second time and then claimed their first major tournament win, beating Spain 2-0 in the final. Michael Platini was the star of the show with 9 goals in just 5 games, including 2 group stage hat-tricks. 1988. Holland claimed their only European Championship crown, beating the Soviet Union 2-0 in the final at Bayern Munich's Olympia Stadium. The tournament's 5-goal top scorer, Marco van Basten, scored one of football's most iconic goals, a dipping volley from a narrow angle. In 1992, a memorable triumph for Denmark and Sweden. Their players were on the beach, having initially failed to qualify, but cut short their holidays after being drafted in to replace disqualified Yugoslavia. The Danes sealed the fairy tale with a shock 2-0 win over Germany.
Eurozone 2. 1996, they chanted, "It's coming home," but hosts England were edged out in the semis by eventual winners Germany on penalties. This was the first European Championship to feature 16 teams and the first major championships to be decided by a golden goal. 2000, the tournament co-hosted by Belgium and Holland was again decided by a golden goal when David Trezeguet struck against Italy to help France add the trophy to their World Cup win of 2 years earlier. 2004, teenagers Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo announced themselves on the international stage. But in a tournament full of shocks, Greece produced the biggest of all to triumph with a 1-0 win over hosts Portugal. Big guns Spain, Italy and Germany all failed to get out of their groups. 2008, the second co-hosted Euros, this time by Austria and Switzerland, saw undefeated Spain beat Germany 1-0 in the final. Spain were only the second country to win all of their group games and take home the trophy, with the success marking the start of Spain's period of international dominance. 2012, Poland and Ukraine co-hosted the 14th European Championship. Once again, Spain had too much for their rivals and claimed the silverware after hammering Italy 4-0 in the final. Spain were the first country to win successive Euros and 3 straight major tournaments after their 2010 World Cup win. 2016, The first tournament to feature 24 teams saw double defending champions Spain beaten by Italy at the round of 16 stage, while England shockingly fell at the same hurdle against Iceland. This was destined to be the tournament where Cristiano Ronaldo led Portugal to a major title, even though he was an early injury casualty in a final won by Eder, with the only goal in extra time against hosts France. 2020. A bizarre total of 11 hosts held various group games and the early knockouts, but Wembley laid claim to both semis and the final. The COVID pandemic saw the tournament delayed by a year, but when the action started, Scotland and England played out one of only 2 goalless games in the 36 group matches. England won the group. Scotland went home, while Wales qualified for the knockout phase, but were thrashed by Denmark. England faced Italy in the final and led after 2 minutes, only to suffer crushing penalty shootout loss.
And, well, that's us at the end of tonight's recording. So, when you have finished listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
Goodbye from Joanne.
Goodbye from Sarah.
And goodbye from Jane.
Good night.